Best advice if you want to make games?
That's fine. That's great.
But like my number one,
Yeah.
my number one thing for every single person who makes games.
Yeah.
If you want to make games, make small games, a lot of them, as many as you possibly can.
True.
With a lot of different people. Do not commit to anything more than a 3-month project until you've made at least 10 games. Period. Don't do it.
I have made Pong. Okay, as my first game. That took me a month in Vulkan. The most work spent there was Vulkan. Programming the gameplay was like 1 day. Okay, Pong, 1 game. I have made a tower defense game called Cakez TD that took me about a year. A little bit over a year. That's number 2. I have made Vampire Survivors in C++. On stream with you guys. I have made Vampire Survivors in Godot with you guys. I have made Celeste, a clone for Celeste, in C++ with you guys. Was it in C++ or was it in Odin? So I currently have 5 games. Did I make another game? I made a small game, Vampire Survivors-like game, in C as part of a tutorial. It's a really small game. Really small game. You're wrong. They are completed games. These are clones and tech demos, not finished games. But I know what he means. So I did make small projects that are not like real games. Some of them are. Okay, some of them are actually real games, in my opinion. Just not complete ones, like really big ones. But I've made a couple of games. You know, 3 years plus in, it is. Cakez had special needs, so he attended a different school. You're wrong.
You're going to dig yourself into a hole. You're not going to learn that much.
Cakez confusing is the level of a game with a game. Okay, fine. So he means, let's see, let him say that again, okay? Maybe the definition that he means of games is wrong, is different. But in my opinion, if you make a game that has a game loop, aka you can win, you can lose, and you can progress, in my opinion, that's a game. Whether that's small or not. Because you have a game loop in the game, you can win and lose. And you can do something.
As many as you possibly.
So Pong has a game loop where you can win and lose. It's very simple, but it's a game. And so most people start with Pong, and I would say that you count Pong as one of your first games that you make. You can rename the executable.
Work with a lot of different people. Do not commit to anything more than a 3-month project.
So what he's saying here is do not commit to anything more than 3 months. But that doesn't mean that you have to stick to one game for 3 months or 1 month or 2 months. You can also do a game in a week. And if that's a complete package that has a game loop, that's a game. And now you have made a small game because you have gone from start to finish. Packaged it up and put it out to the public.
Until you've made at least 10.
Which is what I did. I packaged up every game that I made and put it out to the public. Hello, Cakez.
Hello, Cakez.
Hello, my gets up. Sorry.
Period. Don't do it. You're going to dig yourself into a hole. You're not going to learn that much. You will learn so much from rapid prototyping, small games, game jams, you know.
He said game jams. That's the key point. So the games that are made are like game jam games. Maybe some of them are not as big as game jam games. But yes.
You will learn. You will get incredibly skilled in making, finishing, and releasing a game.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's my number one. The majority of people that I know that have had really great success and longevity.
Hey, super cool. It's not meant to be toxic, okay? I just want to say it. Like, maybe that applies to you, you know, because you're struggling so much. You know, like maybe make 10 small games. I don't know. You did it in the past. Sorry, I mean, it's just good. I'm sorry, bro. Boom, roasted. He's talking from a game design experience, not clones. No, he didn't say that you can't make clones of existing games. You're wrong. And also most people start with that. You're wrong, man. Of course, a game, if you make a clone of a game, that counts as a game. Because you had to ultimately figure out what you need to do in the game. How can you finish the game? And how can you even get started? So you're wrong, man. Any game counts.
In their career made a lot of really good stuff. all started out making a bunch of small games. There's a lot of flash in the pans, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I came out of nowhere and I made this one game and then that's it. But the people with the staying power are the people who had made tons of games previously.
Because they're game makers.
Yeah, you just learn. You learn so much more from doing than anything else.
Cool.
And I highly recommend it. It's also less dangerous. The point I was making too is like, I've been in situations where I've lost.
He's right, because you get feedback immediately on your small games and you're not wasting so much time, aka money. You have to think about time as money invested. While he's right, I still feel like I'm on a good track right now, because I'm getting towards the finish line of my demo. And I've learned so much along the way. Time is time. No, time is money. Time is time and money, yes.
Myself with people who are terrible.
Your first Cake City demo is like that small game. And it failed, the old version. Yeah, I see that too. I spent a year making a game. That failed. Now then I went and made the same game again, but different. And hopefully better. Yeah, that's how I see it too.
I can stand them. You know, a few months in, it's just like, this is not going to work. And I've lost years. I've lost years of my life on projects that went nowhere. But whatever.
I can relate.
Because I was probably also working on 2 other projects at that point in time, and you know, you don't put all your eggs in one basket, especially when you're starting out, and you kind of gotta ride the wave. You gotta ride the wave.
But like, so here's my conflicting problem, or here's my problem with his advice right now. He's right in what he's saying, but he went down the road that I'm going down right now. He spent years on projects that didn't go anywhere. So he's made that mistake to tell other people not to make that mistake. But look what he's doing, what type of games he's made. If you think about it, Binding of Isaac is ginormous and Super Meat Boy is ginormous. Let's take a look really quickly. That's the problem. He didn't go down that route, to me it looks like. He went down the wrong route, but he still managed to make incredible games and stay consistent after that. He started out with Flash games. Those games started small and then were expanded. Okay, but why is he saying then that he spent years on games that didn't go anywhere? He said that the first 10 games should be small, not the ones after that. Okay, so maybe I'm reading this wrong. You guys could be right. Let's see. Immo, it's hard to make small games that are fun / attractive. I think you can do that. Let's see.
Inspiration, and you got to know when it feels right, and the only way to know is from experience. You're not going to know until you've done it a few times.
Yeah, true.
Well, so it's better to make little mistakes, not big giant mistakes where you throw away your life.
Well, maybe talk a little about what you learned about from finishing games, right? One of the things you have to do with these 3-month games, you got to finish them.
Yeah,
you got to close them out.
Yeah.
So maybe talk about that.
Yeah, you gotta lock down.
I can tell you something which has just happened recently. So I made a game as part of a tutorial. C tutorial on YouTube, 1 hour to finish a game or to make an entire game in C++. In C. And when I got to the point where I was scaling the enemies based on how many enemies I killed, basically the ideas of the game is that all of the enemies approach you like in a Vampire Survivors clone, and you have to use the mouse to shoot at them so that they die. And as you kill more enemies, your character gets bigger and slower so that you cannot move around as fast, but also the enemies, they start spawning more. And they get faster. And they get smaller, aka more difficult to hit. So that's like a scaling option in the game. And to me, okay, I thought, now when I die, I'm just gonna reset the game state. I basically had no menus. I had no input other than moving a character and shooting. And there was a game loop that was complete, but it was missing the entire package. And so that's when I was like, okay, I'm done. I don't want to complete the game anymore. And I felt this urge to quit, but I still forced myself to do the rest, which now makes the game a lot more of a complete package, because now we have a starting screen where it says bullet hell and then press enter to start, and we have an end screen which basically shows you the kill counter and the kill counter during the game. And so these little things, you get better at overcoming these little hurdles. They will come up in any game that you make. You will feel like, oh, I'm done. I don't want to continue this anymore. I've made 2 or 3 levels. I need to work on UI now. I need to work on sound now. I don't want to do it.
You have to make a mental note of I will not cross this line, which is very hard to do, especially with games these days, because you're going to always be questioning yourself and being like, well, if I just add a little bit more here, then it'll be better. But the thing is usually once you have the core Once you
Yeah.
have the core design of whatever it is that you're making,
Okay.
and that core is fun, right? And you expand upon it a little bit, and then once you've hit that those boundaries essentially of like, well, I could
see.
add a gardening mode. I could add the
Yeah.
ability to, you know, change 15 different hairstyles, or maybe I'll do a versus mode, you know, that sort of stuff. It's like, it's when you're learning, it's so much better to just stop it where it is, say it's done, close it. Like, it's just an exercise, really. Like, you're not going to make the greatest.
For me, the exercise extends to uploading it to Steam to see if people like it. I think that's the one thing that people do not do enough. You could have some amazing game that you created, but if you never upload it to Steam or itch.io, how can you know that?
Thing in the world in 3 months, but you're going to make something, and that making something is really important, because a lot of people, a lot of game designers, I've known people who've worked on the same game and are still working on the same game after 20 years, and the game.
Okay, but so that's not gonna be me. Okay, that's definitely not gonna be me. We're getting really close to the demo now. Okay. No, I'm not gonna be working on the game for no, guys. You have to understand. You have to understand that I cannot stick to one thing for more than, like, I have to have change in my life. Obviously, absolutely not close to the demo.
Game's not done. It's just this theoretical thing that they've been working on for forever, and it's just like, it's painful, because these people probably would have been amazing if they would have just made a bunch of small games and just cut it off and stopped working on this gigantic project for their whole life. It's just, it's something to be careful of, because it's really, you know, us as human, we are designed to like want it bigger and better. And what if I just add this? And what if I just do this? But I say, save that for your 11th game.
Save that for your 11th game. Okay, so I'm at 6. I would need to do 5 more, but I'm already too deep. So that is what we call something aversion. Loss aversion? Time aversion? Something aversion. I forgot the name. What is it called, guys? The English word? Sunk cost fallacy. Sunk cost fallacy, yeah.